Hey guys, how you doing? After one of the comments the other day on a self-defense little short that I put up about that it being rubbish and stuff like that. Anyway, quite a few people think that way about like the classic kind of 80 Gracie self-defense techniques and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, that's outdated, that would never work. But many of them don't understand any of the context of the curriculum anyway. So from someone who's been teaching it for a long time, and so I'll explain it. So it's almost always athletic young guys coming into the art who look at that and think it's rubbish, right? So herein lies the problem, is that it's not designed, right, for some uber athletic young guy, you know, brimming with confidence, ready to take on the world, right? So the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu curriculum, especially the self-defense stuff, which is taught very early on and then throughout the whole curriculum. If you imagine somebody who's coming into the art, yeah, they're not very strong, they're not athletic, they've never really done sport before, anything like that. It could be, regardless of age, it could be someone in their mid-40s. It could be a kid. I get so many kids who can't do a single push-up. Yeah, right? Okay, and now that with the proliferation of social media, there's even more of that. Like the number of kids in the kids class who can't do a single push-up properly is incredible, right? So regardless of the age, what we're dealing with when somebody comes to my academy, yeah, or when they go to do Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, is we assume that that's where they're starting from. And many of them are. Many have never done a martial art. They don't go to the gym. They've never worked out. They don't go running. Nothing. So it's designed to start at the very, very, very lowest denominator, yeah? And so people are used to walking around, standing on their feet. They're not used to throwing themselves on their back and trying to play guard. Fights start standing, so like that's where the curriculum starts. Other than doing your belt up, a few forward rolls and some hip outs, then everything starts standing, right? So that way, people can relate to it because they can understand there's a confrontation, teaching them how to make space, base their legs, how to position themselves, how to move basically. And then if somebody grabs you and does this, then here's a move, right? Okay. So they don't understand how the human body works. They don't understand like 90 degrees is optimum for shoulder dislocation. They don't understand. They've never done anything like that. Yeah. So teaching them a move where they have to grab something and turn someone's arm and then like it's very complex for them. And if you want an example of this, just watch beginners do hip outs on the mat. Yeah. Irregardless of the fact that like 99% of instructors out there don't teach hip outs correctly, right? But if you just watch a beginner try and do a hip out, yeah, even after like a month, it's still terrible. So now you imagine somebody trying to get in a fight, right? Or learning how to stand without falling over and how to move their arms and legs around, right? So that's where the self-defense is coming from, right? Also, there's plenty of people, right, who find a massive value in it. Yeah, a lot of people don't even wrestle. A lot of people are just happy to just go along, do self-defense stuff, drill on the ground. They don't have to fight, yeah, right? Nothing says that you have to. I mean, it would be great, but it's not for everybody, and that's fine, right? They're picking and choosing their poison, whatever, right? But to people who watch the Gracie Self Defence stuff and think that it's not practical, the funny thing is that, and I did a little video the other day, because I explained to my students, I'll do a particular move, a standing self-defense move, whatever, and then I'll show them that in a useful case, like when even if just in just normal randori, when you're standing up trying to throw each other and stuff like that, there's heaps of arm locks, there's heaps of chokes, there's heaps of things that are directly related to the self-defense curriculum that I use all the time, standing and on the ground, right? There's heaps of it. But if you never do it, if you don't understand it and you haven't tried to do that or tried to get a beginner to learn how to fight and how to learn how their body moves, right? Okay, and you don't bother teaching them about like angles and thumbs up, and people have no idea when they start. Yeah, so if you're coming into the sport as like a 17 or 18-year-old athlete, yeah, and you look at the Gracie Self Defence stuff, yeah, and you rubbish it, you're just ignorant. You have no idea like what it's like to take somebody who's not athletic, who has none of those physical attributes, yeah, who has no balance. Like, I have 16-year-old kids who can barely stand on their feet because they spend all day sitting on their ass watching video games or on social media. They do no sport. Like, all they do is go to school, sit in the classroom, don't do anything with phys ed or anything like that. And I'm guessing that phys ed's very different these days than what it used to be in my day, right? We had actual physical standards that everybody tried to achieve. These days, I'm guessing it's just non-existent because the kids are unfit, they're not strong, they don't have any coordination. And so we have to start them literally from day one, trying to get them how to even just stand and not fall over. So if you're wondering why the self-defense is so important, is it because it provides the opportunity for people who are not coordinated, who are not strong, who are not athletic, who've got no background in sport or athletics at all, and then start from there and teach them how to move their body and to become an effective martial artist in the future, right? It's not like, hey, do this, and in a month if you're attacked by somebody, like, this is the move you do. It's not like that at all, right? So there's a big misunderstanding, and it's almost always by people who have never done it. They've never been in a proper Gracie Academy and gone through the system and understand how it works. So if you're one of those people who have never done it, I suggest that you do, right? Because it's really, really interesting. It's very interesting, getting your balance, the coordination and everything else, and it teaches you how to move your body in a new way. So don't be ignorant. Don't rubbish things that you haven't tried before. And yeah, there's a lot of, all of the top instructors in the world, yeah, Rickson Gracie, Pedro Sau, yeah, and I'm not talking about the modern sport guys, whatever, right? Yeah, take steroids and roll around and have fun, right? People who really deeply understand jiu-jitsu, yeah, and you probably think that your sport jiu-jitsu coach knows what they're on about until see, everyone these days praises John Dano. Well, guess what? 20 years ago, yeah, John Dano was doing privates with all the world champions. After the world championships, they would go to his place. Nobody even knew who John Dano was, right? You know, like, I was like I think John was the first jiu-jitsu black belt from New Zealand, and I was second, right? So I've known about John for a very long time, right? Way before most people even thought about him, right? I've known about the guy. So, and then you take these people and you go back and you look at, like, how did they learn? How did they get to this point? Yeah. Well, they go through all the classic training. Yeah. Right. It's the foundation that everything else is built on. Understand how your body moves, you know, get good at those basic movements, and then you can go on and do roly-poly stuff. But yeah, starting with roly-poly and berimbolos on day one, watching kids do that, it's like, in my opinion, it's a waste of time for most of them. Anyway, enjoy your day and go learn your self-defense because it's very useful.